spotlight on the women creating an impact, leading organizations, and mission-focused strategic programs across the federal technology and consulting community. This is Impact. I am being joined today by Marisa Veseli, the Senior Director of Business Development at Peraton. Thank you for hopping on to join me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so first tell me what it is you do at Peraton.
Sure. So I oversee growth for Peraton's Defense, Enterprise, and Health business unit. So that comprises all of federal health as well as our DoD Fourth Estate portfolio. So I manage a team of business development executives focused on helping Peraton grow in those particular customer sets.
So you enjoy being a people person?
Absolutely, yes. Although it's funny because I never saw myself as a business development person. I was always more on the delivery and operations side of industry. And I kind of got talked into taking on BD as a full-time role. So I guess I am a people person, even against my will sometimes.
So tell me, what key moments on your journey have taught you the most valuable lessons about leadership, and how have those lessons shaped your approach?
Yeah. So, I feel like a lot of people say this, so I don't mean to speak in platitudes here, but I think really the biggest moments for me have been the challenging ones, the ones where I've either dealt with failure or rejection or things not going the way that I thought they would. And I think, number one, those moments are the ones where you really learn the most about both how to do your job more effectively, and about yourself and how you respond in those moments, right? So I think there were definitely, I look back at particular programs that I was managing where there was just a really challenging dynamic with the customer that I was supporting. And there was one instance that comes to mind where I just try as I may, I could not get this customer to be on my side or to like me or want to work with me. And I had to leave that program and I had to make a change, right? And that can be a really big ego hit. And it was at the time. I still think about it. It still affects how I navigate interpersonal dynamics and talk to customers. And I think part of it is having the knowledge and the wherewithal that just not every situation is for me. And that's okay. It helps you discern what is and what isn't, what works and what doesn't. And I think there's just, that wisdom that comes with experience. And also learning that it's okay to still be who I am and be my authentic self at work. And if not everyone loves that, then that's okay. And you can find a better space or a better, group dynamic or a different culture that does fit who you are. So, I think again, I reflect back on those moments where I didn't get along with a particular customer or maybe internally with a company, it didn't feel like the right fit, and knowing when is the right time to step back from it and make a change without compromising or changing who I am.
And it helps too in teaching you how to work with. For me, I'm things have to be done a certain way, very list-driven person. And having in the past worked with people that I call creatives that sort of wander off sometimes off the beaten path, and learning how to deal with them and work with them is also a learning experience too.
It takes all kinds of kinds for sure. I think one of the biggest things about moving into a leadership role is having the knowledge and the wisdom to know what you're good at and what you bring and where you're not so strong, where you don't shine as much. And that's where you need to bring people onto your team who can augment and complement you. You don't want everyone on your team to look exactly the same and act exactly the same and think exactly the same. You're not going to move forward. You need people that are going to challenge you, that are going to approach things with a different thought process. So I think that's a big thing too, is, to your point, right? There's people that approach situations completely differently than I would, and to not start from a place of they're wrong and I'm right.
Right. Yeah. Yep. So do you have a specific challenge you faced that ultimately became a turning point in your career? And what insights did you gain from that experience?
I do. I think I thought about this a lot when I was getting ready for this conversation. And certainly there are things that stand out, but I think the biggest turning point for me was right after I had my first daughter. So I have two young girls. And when I came back from maternity leave after I had my first daughter, I think people talk a lot about that shift after you become a mom and a working mom. Until you go through it yourself, you truly have no idea what it's going
Yeah.
to. And I don't think it's a secret to say that the way that, kind of this industry functions and how a lot of industries function, it's not set up to support working parents. It's not set up to, provide resources and give enough time for women to adjust to having to juggle being a mom with continuing to excel in the workplace in the way that you did before. I think there's this expectation that you come back after a little over a month and your life is still exactly the same and you're still going to function in the exact same way that you did before. That was really difficult for me to navigate. And so, it just wasn't feeling like a supportive environment when I came back from maternity leave. And I think I did have a moment of just thinking, maybe I'm just not cut out for this. Maybe
Right.
I can't do both. Maybe I need to take more time away. Maybe I need to take a step back from my career. I've been working for over 10 years at that point in time and had put a lot into my career, but I did start to question whether I could really do it. And, I ended up taking a new role at a different company not too long after that. And I was able to, I think, regain my confidence that I had lost initially. I was able to create, a better support system for myself. Finding other working moms was really important and talking to them and not feeling alone in that challenge that I was facing. It is a total identity crisis, I feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, until you go through it yourself, no one can really prepare you for it. But, I think the other thing is that after I processed it a bit more and gotten some of that confidence back, I really started to find empowerment in it. The fact that I can be a present mom and be there for my kids and navigate all of the challenges that come along with being a parent. And I can still have the career that I want. You can't have everything all at the same time. There's going to be give and take. But I really felt so empowered by the fact that I could do it. I needed to find a support system and figure out what that looked like for me. But once I got on the other side of it, it really made me feel like I could tackle anything.
Having that strong support system in place is really, really important too.
Absolutely. I mean, they say it takes a village, right? It's again, another cliche, but it's a cliche for a reason because
Yeah.
you can't do it without, not just your support system at home, but your support system with your immediate colleagues in your own company and then other women, and other working parents. It's not just women. There's, a lot of dads out there who are primary caregivers to their kids. So it's really important to find that solidarity and, just to feel validated, to feel seen, like you're not the only person that's struggling to juggle these things. And I have conversations with people, with other women who it's not necessarily that they have young kids, but they have aging parents and they're juggling being caregivers to their aging parents, or helping their spouses through health challenges. So, I think it helps you feel okay to talk about the fact that you're a real person outside of work and that you come to a work event or you show up at a conference and there's a lot maybe going on at home, but you still have to put your game face on and your best self, right? And I think especially as women, we feel that pressure to just always have it together and always be perfect and never miss a beat. So finding those people that you can just be real with sometimes and take that facade off for a few minutes, it makes it a lot easier.
Yes, for sure. So how do you stay connected to your purpose as a leader, and how can other women find and maintain their own sets of purpose in their careers?
I think I love this question. I think it's hard to get to the root of, what's my purpose as a leader. But I think honestly, I just think it's so important to be authentic and to empower everyone around you to be authentic and be themselves. I'm not a super formal person most days at work. Of course, there's a time and a place to put on
Right.
your super professional self and, button up your business suit and all of that. But in day-to-day interactions, I just always try to encourage people to be at ease and be themselves. And, work is stressful enough. We don't need to feel like we can't just joke around with each other, or if you are having a bad day, to just say that, right? To
Mm-hmm.
be vulnerable with each other and create that space. So I think again, that kind of ties back to, sometimes we feel that pressure, especially as women in a male dominated industry, to always be perfect, to have,
Mm-hmm.
never show emotion and never say that it's too much or we have too much on our plate. We can take it on. Sure. Pile another thing onto my plate. I can handle it.
Yep.
And I think that's where, as a leader, I never want people to feel like they aren't allowed to have a bad moment or have a bad day or, crack a joke if that's what they want to do. Or, one of the guys on my team, he loves to put up goofy backgrounds on his teams. And everyone laughs and it lightens the mood. And even when we
Mm-hmm.
have customer meetings, it can be an icebreaker.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to create space for people to feel comfortable in themselves. And, I think that builds a stronger team bond when people feel like they can just relax a little bit and not feel like they have to be perfect and on point and super formal every minute of every day. It's just when people feel like they can just relax and be themselves, I think you get the best out of people.
Absolutely. Those are the best environments that I work in too, because when it comes to working in a super serious environment, I've tried it, can't do it. So,
Yeah. And I was nervous about that. I think when I joined a large company, I had for a long time been at smaller companies and, for whatever reason, I had this vision in my mind of, oh my gosh, I'm really going into big time corporate America. I
mm-hmm.
have to be perfect every second and, not allowed to make jokes
Yes.
about
Yeah.
anything. Yeah, gotta like put on the Hillary Clinton pantsuit
Mhm.
every day and be my perfect self, right? But it's not the case. It's just a matter of finding your team and finding your people that you get along with and finding I think seeing that modeled by other people in the organization who don't take themselves too seriously, who create that kind of an environment around them. It made me feel okay in doing that myself and then encouraging it with my team.
I like it. I like it. So now, what actionable steps can women take to support one another in leadership? And have you seen the solidarity create meaningful change in your own journey?
Yeah, so I think we talk about this a lot in an industry where there's not a ton of female leaders. I look at my direct leadership chain in my current position in the past 3 or 4 roles that I've had. I haven't had really any female
Right.
leaders in my direct kind of chain of
Right.
command, right? And the next step that I want to get to, it's always been male leaders that I've been surrounded by. And I don't mind. I'm used to it. Some of my best, confidants and mentors that I've had and some of my favorite colleagues that I've ever had are the men that I work with. And it's, it is what it is. It's the reality of this industry.
Right.
But I think because of that, and I think if you talk to a lot of other women, especially women, millennial women like myself, it definitely can create a competitiveness where we think there's only so many seats at the table for
Mm-hmm.
other females, that if they're going to check a box on the diversity quotient, there's only going to be 1 or 2 spots that go to us.
Right.
So better not lift each other up or create opportunities for each other because it's taking away from what I can have.
Right.
And that it's hard to not feel that way at times and to not have that ingrained mentality that there's only so much room for women. And so we got to compete with each other for that space. So I think just honestly calling that out when we talk to each other, saying that that's a real thing and it's okay that we've felt that, but it doesn't have to be that way. That we can support each other. We can advocate for each other. We can create opportunities for each other. And I think, although I haven't had any female supervisors or female mentors, I have a lot of colleagues, female colleagues that I confide in, that when I, see them at events or when we're working on deals together, we're able to have great conversations about the specific challenges that women face in this industry. And it's been really productive. It's been really helpful. And, I feel a responsibility, certainly now that I'm moving into more senior leadership roles, to create those opportunities and identify younger women that I can lift up and bring along with me, right? And to be very transparent about the struggles and the challenges that they're going to have to navigate as women in this industry. And it's a real thing. It's stuff that men just simply don't have to think about or deal with, and we do. So I think, again, not viewing each other as competition, as challenging as that can be at times.
Yes.
And then when you're given the opportunity to bring people along with you and to advocate and be a mentor yourself, to take advantage of that.
That's really, really important. So Marisa, is there anything else you'd like to add?
I just love that you all have this platform and are shining a light on the female leaders in industry. I think sometimes I feel like there's not a lot of us. I've said that multiple times during this conversation, but, through this podcast and through the, Women in Leadership Awards and all the different events that highlight all the great, inspiring female leaders that are out there, there are incredible women in this industry who are very inspiring to me. So I just appreciate the work that you all are doing to shine that light. And I encourage you to continue doing it. And we should have more events, I think, that are woman focused and that bring female leaders together. And, the men can come along too. It's good for them to hear from women. But I've seen other sort of women's organizations in other industries. And I just would love to see more of that. And maybe this is me talking myself into championing something along those lines. But no, I just think it's great that you all are doing this. I think it's important. I think that women need to be out there in the spotlight, talking openly about the different experiences that we have navigating this industry, and just making other women feel like it's okay to talk openly about that and to try to problem solve collectively. So yeah, just, I guess, a shout out to you all and an encouragement to my female colleagues and to myself to continue to do this kind of work.
I love it. Well, thank you for hopping on and speaking with us today.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much again for having me. This was great. I appreciate it.
Thank you for listening. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you're keeping up to date on the latest episodes, and learn more at govforum.io.